This is Neural Newscast.
It is Friday, August 7th, 2026. Here is the news you need to know.
President Trump signed 2 executive orders yesterday aimed at restricting birthright citizenship for specific groups. The first order targets children born to foreign government employees and members of foreign terrorist organizations. The second aims to deny visas to pregnant foreigners in an effort to curb birth tourism.
These directives arrive just after the Supreme Court affirmed that the Constitution grants automatic citizenship to virtually all children born in the United States. While the administration claims the scale of birth tourism is significant, immigration advocates point to data showing these births account for a small fraction of annual United States births.
Legal experts are already preparing for court challenges, as the orders appear to conflict directly with recent judicial precedent. The administration is signaling it is prepared to take this back to the High Court to narrow the scope of the 14th Amendment.
Implementation will likely face immediate stays as lower courts weigh the constitutional arguments. The move solidifies immigration as a central pillar of the current legislative and executive agenda.
In Germany, authorities are investigating how a drone loaded with explosives reached a runway at Leipzig airport Tuesday night. The quadcopter was spotted near Ukrainian Antonov cargo planes, including one bearing the markings of the frontline city, Kherson.
Investigators believe this follows a pattern of Russian-backed sabotage that previously used incendiary devices hidden in food packaging. A suspect recently revealed he was paid more than $2,000 in cryptocurrency to transport drone components across Europe for a handler known as Warrior.
The explosive found in the drone is reported to be Semtex, containing the same material found in previous European plots. Security experts suggest the aim is to signal to Berlin that its support for Ukraine carries high domestic risks.
Germany remains one of the largest suppliers of military aid to Kyiv, making its logistics hubs prime targets for hybrid attacks. NATO officials have confirmed they are monitoring the situation as part of a surge in hostile activity across the continent.
Turning to the Middle East, Iran's parliament is considering an agreement with Oman to reopen the Strait of Hormuz under new restrictions. The proposal would ban ships from the United States and Israel and impose fees of up to 7% of cargo value on other commercial vessels.
This deal includes a 20% fine for non-compliance and requires compensation for war damages before hostile countries can return. While Iran claims the deal is being finalized, Oman has not yet commented on the characterization of the agreement.
The Trump administration maintains that the United States currently controls the waterway through its naval blockade of Iran. Observers worry the stalemate could lead to terms that are worse for global trade than the previous status quo of free movement.
Negotiations have shifted away from uranium enrichment and are now focused almost entirely on the waterway. The outcome will determine the stability of global energy supplies that rely on this critical transit point.
In a major legal ruling, a New Mexico court has ordered Meta to pay $567 million to address mental health harms to young people. This judgment comes during the second phase of a trial investigating the impacts of Instagram and Facebook on youth well-being.
The court found that the platforms failed to implement sufficient safeguards to protect minors from addictive design. The funds are expected to be allocated towards statewide mental health programs and digital literacy initiatives for students.
Meta has not confirmed whether it will appeal, but the case is being watched as a potential template for other states. Legal analysts say this financial penalty is one of the most significant to date regarding social media's impact on public health.
The ruling adds pressure on tech companies to reform their algorithms, as federal legislation on online safety continues to stall in Congress. For now, the focus remains on how these platforms manage the data of their youngest users.
In the Pacific, Taiwan is conducting military drills that included the emergency midnight evacuation of President William Lai. The annual Han Kuang exercises are running through August 14th to prepare the island for a potential invasion.
These drills test the coordination between civilian leadership and the military during a simulated surprise attack. Officials emphasize the focus has shifted toward decentralizing command to ensure resilience during a blockade.
Tensions in the region remain elevated as China continues regular air and sea sorties near Taiwanese territory.
The exercises serve as a public display of readiness intended to deter further escalation.
The drills involve thousands of troops and simulate everything from beach landings to cyber warfare defense. Maintaining operational continuity during a crisis is the primary objective for the Lai administration.
Cambodia has reached a historic public health milestone, becoming the first Asia-Pacific nation to meet the UN 959595 targets for HIV. This means 95% of those living with the virus know their status and are receiving effective treatment.
The country hit these marks years ahead of the 2030 deadline through free medication and early outreach to high-risk groups. A critical grant from the Global Fund helped sustain these efforts for over 2 decades.
Cambodia's success is being hailed as a model for other developing nations. By focusing on garment workers and sex workers early on, the government successfully lowered transmission rates in the general population.
Only 11 countries globally have reached this milestone. It demonstrates that sustained funding and targeted policy can effectively control long-term public health crises.
In Washington, the Senate Homeland Security Committee is scheduled to vote this morning on a resolution to hold Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress. The move follows Fauci's invocation of the Fifth Amendment during a hearing on the pandemic response.
Separately, 3 states, including Florida, have issued subpoenas for Fauci's records regarding book deals and awards. State attorneys general are investigating whether he personally profited from the guidance he issued during the pandemic.
Fauci has denied any wrongdoing, and his legal team argues that a previous pardon from President Biden covers the period in question. However, Chairman Rand Paul maintains that the Fifth Amendment privilege was waived during opening testimony.
If the resolution passes, it will be sent to the Justice Department for a decision on potential prosecution. The issue remains highly partisan as both sides debate the limits of executive immunity.
Finally, Senator Mitch McConnell has been discharged from a rehabilitation center after a 50-day stay for a fall and pneumonia. The 84-year-old's extended absence had raised questions about his ability to finish his term, which ends in January.
McConnell's return to the Senate comes as the race for his seat in Kentucky intensifies between Andy Barr and Charles Booker. His discharge signals a potential return to the chamber for the final months of his career.
Before we go, here is what we are watching in the coming days.
First, the August 31st deadline for Dr. Anthony Fauci to provide financial and professional documents requested in subpoenas from several states.
Second, Taiwan will conclude its military exercises on August 14th. We will be watching for any reactive naval movements from Beijing as the drills wrap up.
And finally, market analysts are waiting for a formal response from Oman regarding the proposed shipping fees for the Strait of Hormuz.
From Neural Newscast, I'm Thomas Keene.
And I'm Evelyn Hartwell.
Thank you for listening. That is all for this morning's briefing.
Neural Newscast is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. View our AI transparency policy at neuralnewscast.com.